Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I want to have a look at Sweatcoin. But before I do, I first want to thank today's sponsor, FairDesk. Now, FairDesk is an exchange, and if you're interested, you can click the link in the description for a deposit bonus and on my copy trade. Make a trade on all the alts I review, so if you don't want to miss that, go check it out. Now, getting straight back into Sweat, I know what you're probably thinking. Wow, a lot of ugly, colourful lines assaulting my eyes right now. I feel the same, but they all serve a purpose, and we'll slowly get rid of them as the video goes on, so the chart becomes more readable and all this, but they do serve a purpose, and I want to go through them as we meet them. Now, as we can see, Sweatcoin is quite a young cryptocurrency. It's got about a year's of experience. As we can see from this chart, it launched last September, and it basically started off at 10 cents, and it's come all the way down to basically just below a cent. We were recently at the cent price, but we've been rejected, so it's basically down 90% since its launch. And that's okay. I mean, launching into a bear market as an altcoin that's fairly low cap, that's kind of to be expected. You're launching into, the wind's against you. But funnily enough, what's different with Sweat compared to a lot of coins is since the middle of this year, mid-June, Sweatcoin has been rallying, and it's been doing it sustainably as well, and it seems very natural as well. We can see that it's been putting in higher highs and higher lows all the way up till present day, where we're still putting in higher highs. But I did want to make this video because not only has it been about a month since the last Sweat video, so I wanted to do an update. I also wanted to have a look at Sweat because what's interesting is we haven't been following the pattern that we have been on this way up, and I want to point that out by showing you this rally that we've had for the last few months. We can see at the start, Sweatcoin puts in a high, it pumps, it gets rejected, and then it has a pullback. This is fine, this is normal. It then has another pump, a bounce, and it breaks this previous resistance. It breaks it, puts in a new resistance, and then uses the previous resistance as support. Now in this case we did dip below it, but these blue lines, there are lots of other examples. I've just drawn 3 to keep the eye assault at a minimum, but I just wanted to draw 3 to point them out to you. We see we have a bounce off the resistance, whatever. We come back up to the resistance that we were rejected from before. We pump up and put in a new resistance. The previous resistance now becomes a support. So we have a pullback, a bounce, break the prior resistance, that becomes support, so on, so on, so on. You'll see plenty of these as we look at them. I just wanted to show you a few. What's interesting with Sweatcoin now is its most recent move hasn't followed this pattern, and you see that it's basically done this all the time. Now, like the pullback varies on how far Sweatcoin falls, but usually it's done a good job of remaining in this wedge. It's only broken out of it once with these few days here, and I thought it would be more accurate to line up the wedge more than to account for these 2 days and send the wedge off, in some crazy direction that would account for any sort of a move. But what's sort of played on me the last few weeks is seeing Sweatcoin up here. Now we'd see this pump, we saw the rejection, that's fine, that's normal. We've seen that hundreds of times before. We're expecting a pullback. We get a pullback back to our previous resistance that is now support. We can see it was resistance, bounced, broke above. It's now back at our new support. We bounce, but we don't break. And in fact, we don't even go higher. We come close, but we don't go higher. And then we get rejected and we come back down to our support. Sweat tries again, and it doesn't even get as high as the previous time, which was lower. So it's lower and lower as it's been going on. And now we've had another rejection, and we're on our way back to test this support line. Now there's 2 indicators that I've looked at, and one is bullish and one is bearish, and I'm going to give them to you both. The bullish sort of outcome would be that Sweatcoin bounces down to here, and this lines up sort of, where it might meet this support. It lines up perfectly with this orange support line that it's been following the last few months. Very strong support, and Sweat continues to rally. It sort of uses this support to bounce. Another sort of theory or possibility is that Sweat does eventually break down to the support. We meet the support, we have an even weaker pump, and then maybe we break down below. Maybe we just break down below. I don't know. It depends what's in store for the crypto space over the next few weeks. I personally think there's going to be a lot of pain, but that's just me, bearish. I think with a pump like Bitcoin's had, I think we're due some serious pain in the near future. But what we might see happen is Sweat breaks down below this support, this resistance line, but it does continue the trend just in parallel. So you might see it break down to here, and then we continue to use this as sort of our move, and this becomes our resistance instead of our support. We have seen this happen a few times with crypto and other assets. It's not too uncommon. The bearish sort of point of view that I would like to point out is if we move to the Sweatcoin Bitcoin chart, we can see that recently Sweatcoin has dropped below its support line, the same one that it's been following on its USD pair. It has broken down below this, and this is what I have said basically. Every time Bitcoin pumps during a bear market, it's a way of Bitcoin gaining value over altcoin pairs. So when Bitcoin pumps, alts pump with it, but usually not as much. And then Bitcoin goes back to the same level it was, but altcoins drop further than where they were. So Bitcoin gets that dominance, it gets that value on its altcoins. And again, Sweatcoin had been putting in higher highs, higher lows on its Bitcoin pair. I always love looking at this chart because you can we're literally counting in sats, which kind of is funny to me. Anyway, we've been going up, high highs, high lows, same thing on the USD pair. We bounce, whatever, we get rejected. But here, where we came back, we met our resistance, we had a pullback like we always do. Again, we didn't get back up to this level, and then we got rejected at a similar point where we were on a USD pair, and then we just didn't even, this was our third push up basically, and it basically, it speaks for itself. It just went down, and as we can see, Sweat is on its way down, back to this sort of level that we tested before. We broke below it and we sort of oscillated around it, acted as a resistance, broke below. We then came back up to this level, and we found support on it. It did also act as a resistance, so it did sort of show it's a level that's going to come back in the future. We found support on it again. It bounced. So this is naturally just us returning to here. Now again, it kind of depends what happens. You can see this as semi-bearish or very bearish. You can see this as very bearish if you see it just dropping basically over the next few weeks. We could retrace a lot of our gains and maybe come back to somewhere like here or here to the sort of 20 sats range. Or again, you could see a similar thing on the USD pair where it breaks its current pattern, but we then just follow it in a sort of parallel phase shifted manner where we break down below, find support, and then we continue our move, just one phase shift down, if you get me. Again, kind of depends on how you feel about the market. I personally believe that we will have a drop. We will see a bit of a again, value going back to Bitcoin. I do think value will return back to Bitcoin. I think dominance has to go up for a bull run to do well. I think a lot of value needs to be in Bitcoin before the bull run so that Bitcoin can bring us into the bull run, and then value can move out of Bitcoin, as it always has, into alts, and we see our huge movements and price movements from alts. That's just my opinion though. You have to do your own research and you have to kind of put these things together. Again, a very similar picture for Sweat on its Bitcoin and USD pair long term. Since the last year, it's just gone down, and it's gone from 600 sats to where we are currently, which is like 30 sats, so again, it's a coin that I'm looking at and I'm bullish long term. I will be picking some up. I think these prices are amazing for me, but I think they can get even better in the short term, and in a sense I'm kind of hoping they will, because I'm sort of pricing in for February. In February, I believe that markets will start to pick up again and our lows will be in. Basically, I'm pricing in 2 to 3 months before the halving. Our lows are in. Now, whether they're put in February, late February, early January, I don't know. But I'm sort of giving that wiggle room to be picking up alts and Bitcoin. What you guys do is up to you. But again, I think things will continue to bleed on their Bitcoin pair for a while, even if they don't on their USD pair. Even if alts are going up on their USD, they can still go down on their Bitcoin. So again, that kind of wraps up everything I wanted to talk about Again, just these sort of key levels as well that Sweat has sort of gone into. We could see it move back down into this sort of 007 range as a support. It all depends what happens here, really. Again, these 3 rejections is telling of me, and it's bearish in my opinion, especially as they're lower peaks, they're lower highs, you know what I mean? And that would usually indicate weakness. But again, it's, things can be indicated and not, be fruition, I butchered that, but you know what I'm trying to say. All the stars can align and it still not play out the way that everything was saying it would. So we could see Sweat just continue its rally. Again, there's a bullish thing here where it bounces on its support and just continues. There's a bearish one where it just breaks below and we retrace a lot of our value. It kind of depends where you think the general crypto market is gonna go. But again, Sweatcoin has defied the general crypto market by rallying during this time, like Bitcoin has, but it's even been rallying against Bitcoin. It's been putting higher highs against Bitcoin. Of course, we've broken that trend now on the Bitcoin pair, but whether we do that on the USD, I don't know. It might not even be a proper break on the Bitcoin pair. We might start rallying again. It's kind of one you have to let time play out with, like always, but for me, these are still good prices to be at. Long-term bullish on Sweat. Hoping that it drops a bit lower so I can get some for cheaper, but that's just me. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, comment down below where you think Sweat is headed. Are you holding any? Let me know. Take care and peace.